What is this?
This is Mystery Talks.
I'd face fuck guy too.
Ooh, I'll be down for that.
All right,
Tell me you're not recording.
ready, boys? Oh, I've been recording for the
No.
past minute.
No.
Okay,
No.
so- Welcome back, everyone. This is Mystery Talks podcast, episode number 13, I think.
Yeah, it's not Friday the 13th though.
True, episode 13
that was
on
last-
the 5th of today's 5th, November 5th. Recording episode 13. We are a Sunday. We just had a daylight savings. I think we gained 1 hour. So
Yeah, I didn't notice it by the way.
for those who know, for those who were sleeping,
Push
then
it.
they had an extra hour of sleep. For those who were working, well, they had an extra hour of work. So, sucks to be them, but also extra more money. So, at least there's that.
Mhm.
Well,
Matrix money.
welcome back to the number one most intellectual and most handsome podcast. I'm your host. I was about to say I'm your co-host. I'm your host, Ty
Oh,
Express.
are we taking the host for today?
You know what? I'm the co-host, Ty Express, and here with my two hosts, Guy 1 and Guy 2.
Yep. So,
All right, host.
thank you, Ty,
take-
for the lovely
take it
introduction.
away. I
and,
heard,
we'll see you later.
I heard today is a bit of a conspiracy episode, a bit of a, how television kind of influences the real world, and especially with animated shows. What do you guys think about that?
Great question. Well, I know that Hollywood tries to represent the world in real life, right? Disney,
Right?
princess. Oh, it's a princess love story. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the real conspiracies. And I want to talk about The Simpsons. My question is, how is it that The Simpsons
Simpsons.
is able to The Simpsons.
Symptoms. The symptom.
Yeah. Why
What's
does
her
The
symptom?
Simpsons manage to predict almost all events that happen in the world? I've seen countless examples where they
Can
can
you give,
basically
yeah.
show what in the show is in real life. And every time I see it, you think it's a joke, but it's actually there. And they've aired it like at least 10, 15 years before what happens. And we have a couple examples though, right, Ty?
Yeah, well, one of the big events, one of the more recent ones, let's say, it was what's it called? The connection between the Titanic submersible, the submarines, the people that the sub that imploded, and all the people inside imploded. They all died, and they showed this on an episode of The Simpsons. I don't know which one it was exactly, but this is just one of the more recent examples.
Oh
And
yeah, no, season
it's
17, episode 12. That's when
Alright.
the submarine came down to the Titanic and didn't end well for them. And guess what? Happened in real life.
Yeah, it's very odd. Definitely, it's very odd. It's strange. It's like, how would Well, okay, if it was just that, maybe it wouldn't be like odd. We would say, oh, what a coincidence, or oh, did you see that Simpsons episode? Like it had happened there before, or the second time you're like, oh, damn, this happened in the Simpsons too. A third time, oh, this happened. Fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay, you know what? Maybe after 10 times is no longer coincidence.
Yeah. Guy two, have you found this to be the case? Have you ever like, just been on TV and then you just see the symptoms and then you see real life and you're just
No.
like, how the hell do they keep predicting that?
No.
No, okay, I forgot. A guy two lives under a rock. But for anyone who does and doesn't live under a rock, they I think will also notice that the Simpsons just have a weird way of predicting the future and always forecasting it, which I find really
Yeah.
crazy. So,
And
let us
is
know in
it
the comments
only
if you
The
found
Simpsons?
anything.
Are there any other shows that you guys might know that do this?
It's
I know
not
The
really
Simpsons is
shows.
the big one.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Well, for me, what was the most interesting part is when they predicted Trump being elected. That was when I
That's
started.
crazy. Out of all
That's-
people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like,
that's not actually even the craziest part. There's a scene that is literally taken, okay, the scene from real life and from the show, and our editor could put this in and
Yeah,
compare the two
yeah,
side by side.
Yeah, no,
Is
put it
Trump
there.
going down this electric staircase, and he's like saluting people, saying hi. I believe it's
Yep.
just right after he won the elections, and there's a also in the scene from The Simpsons. Well, he's doing that
yeah.
obviously, and there's a person that drops like a banner or a sign a certain way from the other side of the glass fence, I guess you call it, but it happened the exact same way in real life. Like almost everything in that scene happened like shot by
Yeah,
shot, move by
Yeah.
movement in
There was
yeah.
like
in real
signs
life.
as well, which were similar, which was crazy.
Yeah, that it was crazy similar. So that's just
That's exactly what got me to believe that, or not believe. That's what started. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Made you believe that Trump, is the best
Well,
president,
no,
right? Is that what we're saying?
yeah, of course, Trump
Yeah.
Trump
2024.
2024.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
but it's that was like the exactly the clip that Ty was explaining. That's the clip that really got me to realize that the Simpsons do have some sort of knowledge about things or control. Maybe perhaps it's control.
Well,
Who
you know
knows?
what's crazy?
Because
That
they
episode
do
was
say,
aired.
well, they do say Jewish. Like I don't know. Before you say that, but I think that they do say that there's like a Jewish community behind the Simpsons.
Well, that would explain a
Mm,
lot, wouldn't it?
power. We,
Yeah.
we 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 know about the Jews and the power. We've talked about that multiple times. But one thing I did want to point out was that episode with Trump winning the presidency. Remember I told you how it was 15, maybe 10, 15 years ago? It was exactly 16 years before he was elected. In the year 2000, that episode aired.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
hey, something's going on. I don't think it's luck. Why haven't other TV shows
No,
done that?
that definitely not. It's not just a coincidence. And so, yeah, maybe you say like, was this all planned? Is Trump another, puppet
Puppet.
from a puppet masters? And but who knows? Who knows? At the end of the day, nobody wanted Trump to win, and they all deemed him to fail, and they all expected him to fail. They never expected him to become president. Proved them all wrong. He got all the hate. Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
he
no one
yeah
expected him to win.
he got so much hate from that. But another crazy one besides, I think for me the craziest one was the Trump presidency for out of the Simpsons predictions. But another crazy one that I found interesting is I don't know if you guys know this one. It's these tiger like what do you call them, like zookeepers or
Oh
like
yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
it's like these two, I don't know if they're zookeepers, but these people that are trained with like wild animals,
uh-huh.
and they basically live with them, they feed them, they do everything with them, like almost like a house pet, like they can be around these animals and not get hurt because they have this trust with the animals. And it was these
Hmm.
two white tigers, okay? Or it was one white tiger, but anyways, it was these two trainers, two zookeepers, right? And it was
Mhm.
these white tigers. And they basically raised them since they were cubs. So it's like they're babies. And the prediction in the Simpsons episode, like they showed exactly these two, zookeepers that are raising these white tigers, and the tigers end up eating their masters, their zookeepers, and it happened in real life. They
I saw
died.
that. It was the
Yeah.
one in Las Vegas, I think, right?
Yeah. They I don't know if they actually got eaten alive, but they did get killed by the tigers. So that's another crazy one. And
My
again,
thing is like The Simpsons, it's weird because what about the episodes now that they're making? Is that going to be what's going to happen in the next 15 years? That's the interesting part. And what's also funny is I think The Simpsons is one of the longest lasting TV shows. It's one of the oldest TV shows ever, and I think it's still ongoing.
I'm not
So
sure. Is it?
The
Is
Simpsons
it still
has been
ongoing?
going on for the while. Let me search up, is The Simpsons still,
and it's still going, right?
and it has renewed it until 2025. So there's been
Wow.
36 seasons so far, which is insane.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the show debuted in 1989.
Wow.
God damn.
So
And there's
there you
another
go.
very good show who doesn't necessarily do like these predictions, but they do implement a lot of real life stuff into their shows. They kind it's more like a parody. They do more a lot more satirical. And you know, this is just kind of off topic. I just kind of want to say this,
Mhm.
but have you guys watched
Yeah.
South Park?
Yeah.
Not too much, but yeah.
So another
yeah,
very
I've
old
heard of
show,
it.
you know, before the year 2000s, and they've always been, you know, they're very prominent for not giving a single fuck about anything. Like they will make fun of
Yeah.
everything and everyone. This is one of the things I love about this show. Like they've not excluded anybody. Like they really went, and I kind of like it about I kind of like that show for that. You know, they don't really exclude anyone in their, I guess, like they'll disrespect
They can't get
everyone and
canceled. They
everything,
cannot
but
get canceled.
it's very funny how they kind of mock, like the show is still going, because you would think one of these shows in today's day and age, how people feel, have certain feelings about certain things, and how they get offended easily. You would think, oh, South Park would never be aired, but it is, and they're still going, and they still keep making the same jokes, offensive jokes, racist jokes from how they would make them 20 years ago. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's just kind of off topic. I just wanted to say that, but yeah, South Park is a very good show. Very good show.
Another thing as well is that a lot of TV shows make a lot of money, and I don't think people realize the scale, how much these shows actually make, whether it comes to, you know, the ones in America or even anime shows, Naruto, all these big like Pokemon, they're making billions of dollars,
Oh yeah.
multi-billion dollar industries. And with movies, right? Most movies, if they're lucky, they'll make, you know, 50 million, 100 million. But it's a rare few that actually get over a billion. And most of it is
Yeah.
just the Avengers. But you have a lot of TV shows which, you know, continue to rake a lot of money.
Yeah,
So,
and yeah, and here's the thing about these corporations, brands that, you know, well, these huge names like you said, Marvel, like they're obviously not just
mhm,
making money off of these huge movies, which they're already
Exactly. Yeah.
making millions and billions of dollars. They are like franchises, right? So they have so much more money coming from all, like, you know, the movie just opens up the door to all these sources of income.
yeah.
It opens the door to video game franchise, you know, toy franchise,
Clothes.
online, like these, like there's so many things. It's
Well,
everywhere. It's everywhere.
Halloween.
You'll see
Like
it in
Halloween
posters, you'll
just
see it in movies, you'll see it in video games, you'll see it in toys, you'll see it
yeah.
on your phone, you know, like music, sound, like everything, and theme parks. It's everywhere. So there's money to be made in almost every direction. Uh, Propaganda ads, whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And who owns Marvel? It's Disney.
Yeah. And
So
who
a lot
owns
of these big
Disney?
companies are owned. Well, actually, believe it or not, that's a great question. Well, Disney is its own public
I know.
entity and is listed in the stock market. But as we've spoken before, I'm sure Ty, you want to expand. Who owns Disney and most companies in the stock market?
Well, I can. I wish I could play a soundtrack right now. Maybe the editor can put it in. You know, when you say who owns Disney, and this is gonna sound cringy, but it's like, I don't know if you guys ever heard this soundtrack that goes ba da ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 da. No?
Uh, the, no, I have not, but
Okay,
let's
you know
go
what? The
with
editor
it.
will do me a favor, so it'll be cringe live, but not for the people
Yeah,
watching. So the
thank you,
editor will
editor.
know. It will do its job. But
You're your
anyways,
job, editor. We pay you a
yes,
lot.
bit long, short form answer. The people that shall not be named, because if you name them, you know, it's kind of like saying a Voldemort from Harry Potter. You can't really name them, or else you know, your house will crumble.
Oh,
So yeah, those people.
gotcha,
BlackRock.
gotcha. So the Jews, yes, BlackRock, Vanguard, all these big companies. Again, we've said they
That's
are
it.
the ones No, but we're just causing, we're inquiring and we're, asking the real
Hmm.
questions at Mystery
Yeah.
Talks. Here we like to promote
Yeah, we don't give
this
a
interesting
single
discussions.
fuck.
Yeah, that's why we're shadow banned, and that's why we don't have 1 million subscribers yet. But I'm sure once the audience does see that we're spurring the truth and making you guys aware, you need to
True.
understand that they own these big companies. And remember in the last episode we were talking about Rockefeller, how he donated, and Big Pharma, how they donate the most to college and hospitals. Well, that's going to set a precedent in terms of
Mm-hmm.
education and what they're teaching these doctors. So would that
Yep.
not be the same when it comes to all these movies as well and entities for these TV shows?
Mm-hmm.
They're all
Yeah.
connected.
Well, did you see what happened? I don't even remember if we talked about it on the last episode, but did you see what happened with these Harvard students? Not just Harvard, but these elite schools. Bunch of students started making statements. These thesis statements about the ongoing conflict in Israel and Palestine. And what happened, it wasn't even like anti-Israel. It was kind of just, defending the people of Palestine. Had nothing to, it was really nothing to do with anti-Israel. It was just saying how all the damage being done by Israel, and all these innocent lives being lost. Nothing was really said about that was pro Hamas. But these colleges, these universities received letters, right? Not from, from, let's say, from up above. They receive these letters. It's not like all the deans, they receive these letters saying that either these students, and I might be wrong on this, but something to do how they needed to completely stop this rhetoric, like expel these students from making any of these statements, like it was how it's completely wrong, anti-Semitic, and blah blah blah. So basically, it's the same kind of turn of events when you start talking about this certain group of people, and it's like you get this message from, like, God saying, no, don't do that, it's wrong, don't talk about
Yeah.
it. And we're talking, it's not just the corner high school from middle of nowhere. It's like these big, one of the most elite universities on planet Earth. So it is definitely weird how right away it's like, no, put a stop to this. And
Yeah.
it's
I
it
think Bill
it saw,
Ackman.
like, there's a saying, like, if fuck, I don't remember. You know what? Uh, I'll get to this later, but there is a funny saying that's like with stereotypes, and Jews are involved in this stereotype. But yeah, I just want to say that how
Wow.
it's crazy.
Well, one thing I realized, and you always hear this growing up, is like, oh, don't be a Jew. Like they focus on money. But then now you connect all these things together, right? Why they're so powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing you really need to realize is that money is often associated with power,
Yeah.
right? That's what moves the world around. That's what gets people doing things. That's what motivates a lot of people. I mean, including us, right? Our sponsor for today, Ray Bans. Thank you very much. Wonderful sponsor, and I think they have shipped their glasses to you guys. You guys can check. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. That's one
and
right
also
there.
our second sponsor is Aquafina. We have two sponsors in this video. That's why we have
Yeah.
a higher quality production. So thank you,
Thank you very
Aquafina and
much.
Ray-Ban.
Thank you very much for the sponsors for today.
Yeah, thank you, thank
And
you.
yeah, money is associated with power, and I think that's a big motivation people need to understand, is that that is really what controls the world, you know? I mean, that's what motivates people and teaches people stuff. And we've talked about a lot of examples. And one example we should talk about with money is, why doesn't Lamborghini advertise on television? You see Honda, you see Toyota, you see Kia, you see all these, pretty common vehicles you see on the street. They're always advertised on, TV advertisements. But guy two, why doesn't Lamborghini advertise to people like you?
Mm. Well, it's because, like Tate said, same concept with Bugatti. Their clientele are not watching TV. They're actually busy doing real work.
Mm.
Well, it's
Yeah,
well, yeah, that's an answer, but it's mostly has to do with I mean in the business world, it mostly has to do with branding. So they've built this brand where they don't really need like this they've built this very high quality brand where they don't really need to advertise themselves. Like they don't need to really call the customers. The customers will call to them and will come to them.
Exactly.
And same thing with Rolls-Royce. You don't see Rolls-Royce advertisements really. People will already know Rolls-Royce, best, high-end, high quality, high comfort, best of the best.
they're known for
People
that. They don't
want
need to show
people
people
want a
that.
Rolls-Royce. Like they don't need to exactly, they don't need to show it off. Unlike a lot of other brands. So yeah, Tesla. Here's a problem with Tesla and how it almost went bankrupt a couple times. Like well, for one, they did revolutionize in the electric car industry, I would say, in a way. They did and they also helped push, electric cars for all these other brands. What they messed up is that, and they did a lot of basically free marketing for all these other, big known car companies, because they spent a lot of money on marketing Tesla, and they're expensive cars. They're not cheap cars, and they're expensive, and they're also the build quality of them. They're not great. They're not very good. But you have, let's say, a company like Toyota, for example, who makes, they're a good, reliable, it's not high end, obviously, but they're reliable cars. It's you go to Toyota to get a reliable car that gets you from point A to point B, and it will last you years on end. And they entered the electric car industry business, and they're doing very, very well. They're selling amazing electric cars, electric vehicles, and they didn't
Yeah.
really have to do much of any marketing. Like Tesla did it for them.
I also
So that's
think
just one
Elon was
example.
also the main advertisement, him
True.
himself, because you
Oh
think
yeah.
of Elon as, oh, he made SpaceX, oh, he made Tesla, and you're like, okay, this guy's a genius. He's the richest man in the world. Their company should be good, and hence why they are the most valued car manufacturer on the market by far. I think if you add all the manufacturers combined, they barely add up to Elon. So that's one thing to keep in mind at one point in time.
Yeah.
Can we also acknowledge that Elon? Forget about the Tesla thing. This is not related. Uh, I appreciate that he is bringing light to Tesla, the name, because I don't know if you guys know. Like Tesla's story is it's a very depressing and sad story.
Oh, the
The scientist.
Nikola Tesla, the old scientist
Nikolai
who
Yeah,
Tesla.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically,
revolutionized.
yeah, the other day I was just in a Tesla, and I was like, wow, okay. I was just thinking about the name, and it was like, okay, Tesla, the name had suffered for many years because of Edison just shitting on him and trying to destroy his reputation. And
Stealing his
finally,
idea.
someone is bringing up light to Tesla's name by just making a car brand. It was such a genius way to like.
No
It was
pun
a cool
intended, by the
name.
way, right?
Yeah, it was a cool
Bringing up
name,
light.
and yeah, exactly. Through an AC current. But it was like it was a genius way from like Elon. Like I was just thinking about how this guy is, but with all his projects, the names are very, very well chosen. Tesla was one of them that was like, okay, this guy is even thinking like to the smallest details. So that's it.
It's true. And that brings me to our third and final sponsor, Nintendo Switch Zelda. Zelda game. Go buy your Zelda game. It's now out in the stores.
Is that the mini link?
Yeah, this is the Link's Awakening. So you can go
Yeah.
to the Nintendo
Don't buy this one. Buy the better
.com
one. The Breath of
slash
the Wild.
Mystery Talks podcast to get 10% off. So make
Mhm.
sure to do that.
Use the promo code
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, Mystery Talks is the promo code. 10% off
Or,
on your purchase.
yeah, but also something that we were realizing is these Simpson in some way we can agree that they they do a lot of predictions, maybe because they have some sort of control, some sort of power, or some sort of
Like a
or
higher
some sort
level
of
sort of power.
exactly right.
They know
And
something.
yeah, for sure,
It's an
exactly.
objective thought, yeah.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
like it's plausible what you're saying because why out of them are they able to predict a lot of the outcomes that you see now, right? That Trump example is a perfect display of the fact that 15 years, 16 years before the event took place and the way it was constructed was the exact same. The
Hmm.
way it was done, it's something that you could think, hey, like I would
Mm.
not think it might not be opposed to something, but obviously, we can maybe rule coincidences because higher power is something that's a very interesting subject and I think is something that we all would like to speak about. And it
Yeah,
is very powerful.
Yeah.
exactly.
But
Like I
I
said,
mathematically,
think,
coincidence can
yeah.
only add up so far, where it just at a certain point becomes impossible or not. It's no longer coincidence. Like it must have, like you guys say, there's some higher power to it. There's something else missing in the puzzle the puzzle piece. There's a certain puzzle missing, and yeah, the Simpsons. Who knows? They're definitely in something that we don't know, or I mean, not the creators themselves, but maybe there's some exterior force, let's call it, that's kind of influencing the Simpsons, and they kind of make these episodes somehow, and that way, they kind of don't get like a second glimpse at them saying, "Oh, like the Simpsons are bad because they're doing these obvious predictions." Um, but yeah, it is crazy. Wait, and am I crazy? Okay, but you guys can quote me or maybe correct me on this. I mean, am I crazy? But did the Simpsons also somewhat predict 9/11? Wasn't that another big one?
I
I
don't.
remember
I
it
think
was
so.
because it
I
was a
think so. I'm not
poster.
sure.
I briefly see
There,
something about like flying and towers in New York.
yeah, no, there
There
was
was
and
something.
it was an episode like before 9/11. There was a poster of these two towers, okay? And in the poster it said 9/11.
Mm,
Guys, search it up. I swear I'm
damn.
not crazy. I definitely saw this. There was
It's
definitely like a
Disney. You know,
poster.
Disney does this too. I just realized Disney does it, but like they do it like kid way. Like they do. They kind of hint about the new Disney movie in in every new Disney movie. There's like a clip where there's a new character that they just show for 1 second. So I feel like there's a lot of Simpson is just the one that does it with the controversial topics, and that's maybe one of the reasons why they're still relevant and they're still going on, because they do have some sort of control. Or maybe
That's
they
true.
are in some way. Maybe the Illuminati is this is the show for Illuminati. This is what they like to. This is their own show. This is
Mm,
what they
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
want to show to the world. They're like,
Facts.
listen, we exist. We're just gonna give you a couple of hints in this show, and if you're if you're smart enough, you're gonna find out, and you're gonna be like, oh, okay, if this is gonna happen, right? In some way, it's maybe like you know how in Squid Game they were using the people as their show, the old guy,
Yep.
those rich people. Maybe this is their way of having fun. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, that's true. Like kind of picking on the peons and saying "fuck you." We're the rich,
Yeah,
powerful ones. You can't do nothing. You
yeah.
don't know anything.
Because it does make sense though in some way. Maybe it's crazy to say, but
Yeah.
okay. But we you did guy one. You did talk about having the aspect of something that you cannot explain, something out of this world, maybe even something related to having a faith, right? Or am I
Yeah.
mistaken? Is
Yeah.
so?
No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I could talk about now is like the first thought when I think of something that's unexplainable, it's
Unacceptable.
what we
Sorry.
see with our own eyes, is life, the universe
Mm-hmm.
itself. You know, what what is it? Why do we see it the way we are, and how it's made is ultimately what people for thousands of I mean, for whole humanity has thought, right? And
Yeah.
for the past thousands of years, people have come up with faiths to follow that
Yeah.
help. guide people to explain the unexplainable
Hmm.
by saying there's a higher power,
Yeah.
and
I have a question. If
that's how it is. Yeah.
yeah, so my question is,
What's your question, guy? Two?
yeah. So let's say
Yeah.
from an
What's your question,
atheist.
guy? Too.
I'm okay. I'm not saying I'm an atheist, right? But let's take it from a point of view of an atheist. Okay.
What is an
Let's say
atheist? Please define what an atheist is.
someone who doesn't have a faith, who does not believe in a higher power. That's what I think. Do
What
you
do
guys
they
agree?
worship? Yeah. Okay.
That I don't know. I don't know. Depends. I feel like there's so many types of atheists nowadays. Some of them worship a unicorn. Some worship a fucking table.
I would
It's
say
Yeah.
it's
most atheists, to kind of finalize your answer, are more. They kind of worship science. They're more science based.
right.
They
Yes.
believe in
Yes.
the
True.
theory of evolution and the Big Bang. That's kind of
They
like their
worship
belief
science.
system, their worship.
True. True. I miss. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. Uh, my question was: is it fair to say, or not fair? Is it can you consider religion in a way that maybe it is something man-made that people through generations have had, like let's say a book that was made, and it just basically escalated where in the generations there was a better book, and that was why people started following it more, and then there was a better one or a better one until there's going to be new religions
Hmm.
So in
overall,
a
because
way,
Well,
as we've seen.
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, in a way, you're not wrong. Like there's always been, throughout history, the smartest man alive who came up with the answer, who then 100 years later there was another smartest man alive who debunked the other smartest man alive who had the new, truer answer, and so on, and it's kind of been, going throughout history. So in a way, you are not wrong. But that doesn't mean that doesn't completely debunk the idea of religion, faith, having the knowledge of or believing in a higher power. Science can only
Yeah.
take us so far, and actually, in a lot of cases, and a lot of famous scientists, the closer they got, to the answer of or their own answer of trying to figure out the universe, the closer they actually get to God, for a lot of these famous scientists. So that's another thing to think of.
Yeah. One thing I also wanted to mention is for example, in Islam, the Quran is one of the oldest books, and I think in Europe they hired one of the best scientists to see if there's any modifications or something that has shown it's been changed from the original to now. And they invested a lot of money budget wise to fund the scientists to see the rulings. And that was an actual study done by the European government. And they found there was actually no change at all. And the words have been exactly translated from when it was created to what it is now, which goes to show that the philosophies and values of creed in the book then is applied now. I think that's why a lot of people like to follow these big religions.
True, 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 and a
Because
lot of them
yeah.
uh and well, we can say also because the two biggest religions being Islam and Christianity, they have a lot in common, and
Yeah,
it's
a
like the
lot. Yeah,
strongest one. And
I think
one
like
thing that
ninety-five
is,
percent of them are the same.
yeah, a lot of religions do have some things in common, whether it's cultural or how they kind of what their, I guess, what their path is, I guess, to heaven. Um, But one thing about people who are religious to compared to people who are not, we can say is that, like, let's say atheists or agnostic people who don't really have a belief system, or they just live because, yeah, we're here on this earth, and nothing actually means anything, which actually I think I believe is a dumb belief system. I would rather have some sort of belief system than none. In any case, people who do have some sort of faith or religion tend to have a certain higher, I don't want to say like superior, not at all, but do tend to have a certain like morale or guidance, or this foundation that guides them better in life, or that would lead them into better paths, better path to life, to a successful life, let's say. And I don't mean successful in terms of like money or fame. I just mean successful in terms of fulfillment, what you are here, what your purpose is here in life. It gives you purpose. I think religion, faith gives you purpose. Without it, I think you might be a little lost, or you might be without a purpose, or might be without guidance. So I think it can be very helpful to be in following a religion, having this faith of God, having the idea that we're here for a reason, and there was a super intelligent mind, way superior than us, that put us on this earth as a gift. And there's an afterlife, right? There's a purpose. It's not just we're here on this earth for a finite time and that's the end. Okay, everything we did kind of just died there. No, life goes on even after that. So there's a lot that we can talk about, whether it's philosophical, whether it's scientifical, whether it goes on.
Seems like you're well versed.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, Gaitsu, what are your thoughts on that, on following it as guidance as you operate through life? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, like Ty was saying, as someone who doesn't really have, let's say, a religion, what I've seen is people who do and people who do not have a faith, their whole vision is way different. Like Ty was expressing, people who do have a faith tend to have a better connection in terms of just being more peaceful in their own minds. They tend to basically be more successful in their own way. It could be in any factor,
any domain,
and any just like not factor, but any field.
Yeah, any domain in life. Yeah,
I agree. Statistically,
I do see it. Yeah, I do see it in that way. I do see it in a way that you don't really get to just pick a religion just out of a bloom because you think that it's a winning team. So I do want to give it respect and basically take my time and just see what and really understand in depth the whole holiness of it in some way. So that's why it's a very difficult topic to have, because it is something that is not
subjective.
Explained, yeah, it's still so many questions that people haven't found any answers to, right?
yeah.
So there is a certain mystery to it, and there is some sort of higher power that is related to this conversation. So you should
Yeah.
always treat this with respect.
True.
And another thing I wanted to say was one of the reasons that it made me believe that maybe having a faith is actually something important is how in the Western society they're trying to push you away from it. How they're trying to basically, well, okay, what made
But
me
you
realize
gotta
is
ask yourself, why are they doing this? Why do they want you
Well,
so
okay,
away from
yeah.
God?
This is what made me realize it is basically, let's say US goes to war with a very religious country, okay? It could be any country, let's not name any names. What will tie that country together is their whole faith system. In
Yeah.
terms of US, nothing is holding everyone together. The reason why there's so much hate in the States, or in, let's say, in the Western society, is because there's nothing holding each other together. Because right now they're trying to push you away from having that faith. They're trying to say that having a faith is basically bad in some way, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing holding people together anymore. And when that happens, it means that they can control you better. So
Yeah, true.
in some
What
way,
does that
if
do
ever
to an army of a nation that's
that's
so
exactly what
so
yeah.
diversely separated, and there's so much hatred within its own people. Like, let's say you're a soldier of a nation that hates itself, and you're going to war to protect that
Yeah.
nation.
What are you
who's-
representing?
Who's exactly
Yeah.
like, who are you presenting? Who are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? What are you are you
Exactly. What are you
proud of
fighting
Well, let's
fighting
think
for
about
this
it, right?
nation?
Like, for thousands of years before they were nations, right? They were territories. And what did these territories comprise of is a group of like-minded people, ideally from the same genetic pool, that had the same creed and philosophies. You know, the Turks were the Muslims, the sort of, Italians, or back then was like, let's say, the Romanian Empire were Christian heavy. So you've had these big influences of religion on each sort of territorial standpoint. And with soldiers back then, it's much different than it is now, because now there's acceptance of multiple religions within a state. And back before, religion was really the main power of a country. They were the ones that had power. It wasn't really the prime minister, because that's
Yeah.
how much they valued the religion, which I think is very interesting to see that in most countries now that's not the case.
Yeah.
And we're seeing, sort of the opposite of what, life was before. A lot of people did follow religion.
Yeah.
And it seems like in the West, like Guy Two was saying, is dying off.
And for several reasons. One of them could be science, this belief that science is the all powerful and science is the last true answer. Also the influence with media, celebrities, and this whole satanic culture in the music industry. That's another reason why people are kind of straying away from religion and faith, or the existence of God. A lot of people mock it. They will say, it's a fairy tale. Um, but going back to Guy, to what you were saying on, let's say, if you're someone who's an atheist, if you're someone who's agnostic, but also open-minded, you're not completely disconnected from the idea that there might be a God, that there's possibly a higher power out there, and that we didn't just, we're not just some chemical reaction. We're not just a result of billions of years of chemical reactions, and we didn't come from nothingness. Or people say that we came from the Big Bang, but what came before that? How I started, because I wasn't always religious. I'm not gonna say I'm a religious man right now. I do believe in God, but I can't be true to myself if I say I'm 100% religious. I feel like you either are not religious or you are religious. I don't feel like there's an in between. At least that's my stance on it. And I feel like right now
I agree.
I'm not I'm not 100% religious, just because I haven't taken full responsibility on that yet. But
Yeah, no, I
that
think
aside,
so.
that aside, how I started actually, you know, getting closer to God, for those watching at home who are maybe a little bit lost or don't know where to start or how to begin this kind of journey, let's call it. For me, it was actually first science that brought me closer to God. So me, I've always liked science. I've always been a little bit geeky with science. Like since like preschool, let's say, like fucking planets and shit, Big Bang. I love the universe and all that. And
Aquinas.
again with the theory of evolution, I loved all that. I always loved looking at that, and that was at first the main reason why I never really believed in God beforehand. And coming from a Christian Catholic family, very very Catholic family, and one whom I was also kind of forced into, because again with a lot of religions, it's kind of cultural. When you're born into, let's say, a Buddhist family, a Islamic family, a Catholic family, you're kind of forced into that. And when you're young, you might not understand it. You might get into it right away and you love it. It wasn't the case for me though. I was always kind of uh
I think
let's
most people are
say,
like that.
yeah,
They're just born
I was
into it and they don't accept it because that's what they see in life.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like a lot of parents also don't have the best approach on how to teach their young
Right.
how to
Not
you
forcing
know
them.
exactly, not forcing them. So yeah, I was a little bit disconnected. And now we're kind of getting to like my life story, but no, very quickly. It was science first, like I was saying. The one of the
Mm.
biggest questions, one of the biggest question and answers, I guess, that got me close to God, or that opened up the door, was there's this argument. and it is the what's it called again? Frick. I need to dig deep into my brain right now. Beep boop boop beep. Okay, 1 second. I need to
Take your
search.
time.
I'm searching the file database in my brain right now.
Bro is lagging.
Yeah, I am lagging. You guys maybe want to converse between yourselves while I'm
Well,
while
it is a
I'm
very
yeah.
difficult topic to bring on, especially when it
Oh,
comes to
I
just
got it.
something that you have a faith. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, he's reconnected.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you, guy two,
reconnected.
for
Okay.
talking.
So it's the fine tuning of the universe. That was the first argument that kind of opened up the door, and it's a very, very good argument. If you know, for let's say someone who wants to debate, I guess religion against science, and actually something, I say religion against science, but those two actually go hand in hand. They both connect with one another. But what I mean is that, you know, people that are more science based and they kind of block the doorway to religion, vice versa. The fine tuning of the universe argument basically dictates that how everything in our, you know, life itself, our planet, our universe, the expansion of the stars and everything is in such a way right now that we are located, well, first we are located in the perfect space of our universe where it is a habitable zone for life, whether we, you know, our what's it called, the periodic table of elements, if certain elements in our body had a little bit more or a little bit less, sometimes by an inch or a hair off, if something, you know, was disconnected, or if our planet was more to the left or more to the right, whatever, we would pretty much cease to exist. And it's almost like this in everything in our universe. Like, it is so precisely calculated how we are here by mathematically a chance, one in tens of trillions and trillions. Like, it's a crazy number. Okay, like the how we are here, how we are living right now, and how we have life, it is just mathematically, you know, impossible, close to impossible. So the fine tuning in the universe just basically dictates that, how, you know, there must have been some sort of, like, the closest answer is not at all, you know, we just came from the Big Bang. The closest answer actually, how, you know, we are humans that have you know, we're alive and we have feelings and emotions and a brain and we can create things. It must have came from, you know, something that also has feelings, emotions, and and that lives outside also of this time and space continuum. Because when the universe came into existence, there it must have been space, time, and matter all at the same time, all at the same time, literally. Because if there was no space, then where would you put it, right? Or if there was no time, when would you put it? Or no matter, like, what's it like, there's, if no matter, just nothingness, right? So the fine tuning of the universe is probably the first step that I took, that said, you know what, there's got to be some super intelligent mind. And at first I didn't think, you know, God, like, of the Bible. I didn't think God of, like, religion, like Islam or Buddhism. I didn't think of, like, you know, that supernatural God. At first, the first God I thought of, I was like, you know, maybe aliens made us. That's actually where I first landed on. I first thought, you know, maybe we are the creation of this super intelligent race. That's how I actually first started, but I quickly, you know, disconnected from that. But for our viewers watching at home, that's probably one of the most um, satisfactory, I would say, arguments that got me, you know, that got the door open for me. And I'm not even close to an intellect. I'm actually an idiot. But if you can watch a, you know, a video on YouTube of an actual professional talking about this argument, the fine tuning of the universe, or if you look some academics research online from a you know, university, then you will see, you will know what I'm talking about. And yeah, that's gonna be a huge eye opener.
Also, I feel like you don't need to be an expert to talk about this topic. You just need to have that connection.
And
So as
common
long as you
sense,
do
right?
have that belief,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
as long as you have that strong belief and that you have that understanding, and you've asked yourself those questions that people do ask themselves, and as long as you're curious and you're not just closed-minded and saying, okay, I have to follow because it's written. So as long as you have that knowledge, you don't need to be an expert.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's your life, it's the way you operate it. So if you're gonna use God to help you and follow rules to make sure your life is in check and it's better because you know, connect with values, why not? Right? What is someone else's opinion gonna do? And I think that's one thing to keep in mind is that expectations of others you should not have. You don't have a gun to their head to think the same way you do. You
Hmm.
choose the way you think. So you shouldn't blame others or have some sort of, you know, hatred towards others because that's just gonna crumble you. It's okay. Ty just disappeared.
Ty,
I did. Oh
Ty just
shit!
joined gone. I just
Wow.
that
Maybe
just
he is an
slid.
alien. We don't know. Yeah, he just slid away. We love it. Thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, is that in terms of expecting, I don't think you should really be expecting from others.
There I am.
It's your yeah. It's your best thing is to accept reality for what it is and
Mhm.
do what you think is best for you and follow what's best for you.
I have a question. Let's say you follow a certain religion, and in your personal experiences, you guys has there ever been, let's say, something, a certain law or something that it says that you have to do and you didn't agree?
Fucking
Ty,
cocking.
I know you're hiding from this question,
Why
but
is
I'm sure you should answer this.
why is Ty keeps just sliding away?
Technical difficulties.
No, I don't think that's
Yeah.
anything technical. I think we're just having fun.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't know. Maybe guy one. You don't. It doesn't need to be Ty. It's just one of you guys.
I think Ty is well equipped to handle this. I think he can
Wait. So
share
what was
before
the
I go.
question? I was actually having technical difficulties. What was the question?
Well, the question is: has there ever been like a certain law in, let's say, whatever you decide to follow? Has there ever been something that made me question, or that's something you don't agree with, but you still? I don't know how to formulate the sentence.
As in,
I
like, is
suppose.
there something in the religion that you accept that says it, but you don't partake in it and you
Exactly.
deviate from what it is? Because in religion, when you're there, you want to follow it
Yeah.
to the penny, right? It's like if you're not religious,
Hmm.
then there's no point,
Yeah.
right?
Of
It's either it's
course.
like you are it or you're not. And I
Yeah.
think you were saying, Ty, that like you're not 100% committed because maybe this could potentially be a reason why.
And now here's
or
here's the
or
thing actually.
or just side
Um.
question to add before you say, or
Yeah.
if you tend to not basically follow that, or is it okay to basically follow religion but not follow every rule on it? That
So okay. So here's my answer. Right. So far as to where I am, where I stand on with religion, and again, I'm not 100% religious yet, but how I see it in my book, right? It's that even when you do have that conversion, you know, when you give your life to God and follow religion, uh, and again, I say in my book specifically with Catholicism, humans are man is imperfect, and man is sinful, so whether or not I try to, you know, give my 100% to God and religion, I'm still gonna make mistakes. I'm still gonna sin. Yeah, that's how that's just my human nature. Like I said, man is sinful. So I'm still gonna do all these sins, but I'm gonna be the point is of, you know, being aware and, you know, being better and being, how do you say it, it's like trying your best, right? So like let's say, and a lot of people say, like, I'll speak specifically for Christians. A lot of people say, you know, oh, how certain Christians are hypocrites because they you know, they say one thing but then do another. So that doesn't hurt the doctrine of Christianity, and same I will say for Islam, let's say, because if it says one thing in the book, right, but I do another, it doesn't mean that the book is wrong. It just means that I'm doing wrong, and I just need to correct myself. I need to repent. I need to pray and ask for forgiveness, and that's what a good Christian does. Um, if I do something wrong or I sinned, I pray, ask for forgiveness, and I repent, and I do better the next day. I'm aware of it, so I try to do better. And in my sinful nature, I will always, try my best to uphold the righteousness of God and, you know, His perfect creation being us. Try to, you know, stray the furthest away from imperfectness, because I feel like everything that is imperfect, everything that is bad or wrong, it brings you also closer to Satan in a way. Like all bad things in this world kind of have a connection to that. I feel, and
There's always that
it's
dichotomy. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like things of sin is usually towards the devil tempting the person who's in the
exactly,
religion to follow
temptation.
that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
temptation. Very good word. That's yeah. So temptation is something that a lot of us fall into,
degeneracy is
and
often, related to that temptation, I would say personally.
yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly. So you just you gotta try your best to avoid temptation, avoid falling into sin, and let's say okay, let's say pornography for example. A lot of people are tempted to watch it. A lot of people fall into this um garbage. I say because it really does destroy people's minds slowly. It's almost as worse than like drinking alcohol because it does rot your brain in a way because it changes your perspective and it makes you this like sexual thing, and when you see women you only think of them as these sex objects. So it's very bad for you and for your loved ones. So you just gotta know the patterns. You gotta pick up the red flags right away and kind of avoid them as soon as possible as you can. Or when you see yourself falling into temptation, you kind of have to take 3 steps forward into the future and know what's going to happen, what's the uh, result of this sin that you're going to commit. You gotta think, 3 steps ahead. You kind of have to be the chess master of your own body and of your own mind and body as well, yeah. And think, you just got to think ahead and play your cards right. And when you have that power over your own mind, I think it will be much easier for most men and women to not fall into temptation, to not fall into sin, be better humans. So,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree. I think the big thing is, understanding that, obviously we're not perfect as humans. We will encounter things that sometimes, will not be logical and will be emotionally thinking. And, this is where things can arise.
yeah,
The, I think the most common stuff, I think like a big one is this whole virgin whore dichotomy in religion. I mean, that like promiscuity has always been frowned upon in countless religions, right? Like they would even kill women who were very promiscuous, and I think that's been like a really big standard. With power and even in royalty, like I think a lot of the queens were virgins before the our prince and the princess.
yeah,
Often the princess was like the virgin because she was pure, right? That's sort of
yeah,
like tied into the whole religion sense. And I think just human interaction is what can either make or break you when it comes to, either following religion or not following. And what I believe is that the values that you have, look at the religions that are around you and see what best aligns with you. Whether it's the way you raise, it's the way you're thinking, learning about the religion and what you see is right. And I think anyone who follows the book and can actually fear a higher power is someone that you can have more respect for, because you
yeah.
know that in harder situations and situations where maybe there can be some temptations, if they're a true
Mm-hmm.
follower, they have something to feel accountable for. And it's
Yeah,
it's really funny because in the Western society you have all this stuff like the feminism movement or degeneracy is like, oh, I can do what I want, and there's that sort of lack of care or
Self-respect.
like lack of following. Yeah. And you just see that that's a distance, and you see, okay, well, who's more fulfilled? Is it the person that is, more religious, that follows something, or is it someone that has nothing to follow and just goes off impulse? You see results. And I think, even people who aren't religious but believe in a higher power, that have something to hold on to is ultimately best. So anyone who is thinking, I really encourage you to, see what religion do you align with. So that's how I would see that as well, guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going back also to the points we were saying about like how from an atheist perspective or someone who doesn't believe in God at all, how can they kind of take this route? The second question that I would ask, besides first the fine tuning of the universe, the second one I would ask is, how do you ground morality without God, right? So the atheist perspective is, oh, you know, it was just through billions of years of evolution that we kind of created in our own minds and self-worth somehow, and with the exchange of chemical reactions and whatnot, we kind of grounded our own morality, our own rules. We um, somehow decided slowly over time that killing is bad, or robbing someone is bad,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
raping someone is bad. So which I think is
Exactly.
which I think is silly, honestly. I don't really follow that. You just with a little bit of common sense, I don't really follow that, because when you look at many parts across the world right now, it's still like, I would I wouldn't necessarily say accepted, but it's almost seen as normal. So if
What?
let's say in a
Wait,
certain part of the
what
world
is
we say,
What's
oh,
normal?
killing
Raping?
is bad, but in the other part of the world it's like kind of a normality and it's accepted. So how do you ground that morality? Are you the superior human beings? Are you the superior race? Like what?
Hmm.
Why is Hitler bad? What
mm,
what why what he did is bad, and I don't think you can really answer
Oh,
that without grounding the morality, the supremacy, the rule making of God. And so I
oh,
think we
okay.
have
For a
that
second,
just.
I thought you said the no killing part doesn't make sense. I was gonna be confused for a second.
Oh no, no,
But you're
like
saying
I was
people
saying
who
as like an
follow it.
atheist perspective, how they say,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but
Yeah, no, I think so as well.
yeah. So I think you can't, is my argument. You can't ground morality without God, and actually, a lot of in most governments, if not all, like all the big superpowers, um, these rules set, these laws that we have are actually based and backed upon religions. Like these are the founders, like the laws that we have today, written in the like
The goods, the do or don'ts,
yeah,
right? Right.
exactly.
That's
The
right.
goods, the do
Yeah.
or don'ts are backed upon these religious books. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that they didn't come from anywhere. It was written in some way by a divine
Yeah.
hand,
It's also the
and
thing is it's been
yeah,
written for a while. So
exactly.
these principles that people follow has been going on for a long time now, and
Hmm.
that kind of just shows how miraculous religion can be. And I think one other thing as well is that I think Andrew Tate also provided this example. If you have an island, right, two islands, and you have the same distribution of people on it, and they have no food there, and one island is religious and one isn't, the non-religious island will be the one that when they get hungry, they're gonna be cannibals. They're gonna kill. They're hungry.
mm.
But then the other side is okay, the religion says, oh, don't kill people. Which one would you rather choose? Right.
Yeah,
So
morality. Of-
right, right. And that's something that will be followed with religion. And that's a very important example.
Yeah. Well, it's such a hard topic and such a it's it's a topic that you can basically speak for hours and hours.
Yeah,
when it
it
comes
Yeah.
is,
to the
and
aspect of
yeah,
religion.
Complex
you're right. We can
process.
go
Yeah.
on and on. We can just have a one full episode just about this topic. Um,
Yeah.
but it's good to at least let our viewers know and make them think about this. Um, kind of, asking yourself these questions and asking yourself, why also governments kind of want you to stray away from God? Why are they so pushy against it? You got to ask yourself these things, and
For sure.
you got to connect
Yeah.
the dots
And
in
if
your own
ever, yeah.
sometimes, or also seek professional, seek a professional help in a way, like not like a psychiatric kind of way, like seek professional help in a way, seek
Fair questions.
these people that
Yeah,
are
keep
well
learning, right?
neutered
Like,
in the
yeah,
topic. So
keep learning. I
that
think that's a big thing because all these religions, right? Of course, they have their own perspectives and interpretations, but they all have somewhat created a conclusion from their thoughts and made it into a religion, right?
mhm,
Their
Yep.
philosophies, the way they rationalize things, and the way they should say, okay, this is how you should operate your life. This is the best way of living life is something you should learn. And maybe if you take some stuff away from it, that would be awesome. I think just being open
Yeah.
minded to it is definitely something important. Like even Elon Musk, he read through all religious books to see what best aligned with him. So that's
yeah,
just a food for thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Explore, be open minded, and it's good for you. I mean, just in
Yeah.
general, it's just good for you. It's actually good for your health,
Isn't that
for your
good?
for
For
your own
sure.
being. Like, you can learn so much. Like, you can have so many good habits from it. You can uh, have much more fulfilling purpose when you have this kind of foundation with you, and it can guide you well in life. I believe we said that before,
Agreed.
but just to kind of end it off and say that again. So to all our
Yeah.
viewers watching at home,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
And
This has been
please leave a
good,
comment. Ask any questions you want us
yeah,
to talk about. So
yeah.
basically,
Anything, yeah.
And if you're an atheist
Topics.
watching this and you don't agree with us at all, I would love to hear why.
Yeah, we want to encourage conversations and hear
yeah,
multiple sides
Yeah,
for sure. But thank you guys for
yes.
watching.
yeah.
So this has been Mystery Talks podcast. Have yourselves a good night.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace and love.